Great, brilliant. So it's welcome back to Shed Talks hybrid conversation chat. And it's really great that Nathan Horrocks, the top man from San Francisco, has joined me today for a catch up. Nathan, really good to see you.
Thanks for having me on again, Jeremy, and thank you for saying Nathan Horrocks from San Francisco, because it's normally Nathan Horrocks from Yorkshire.
I know. Well, I know how international you are, you see. So we did our Shed Talks, and we had a really terrific reaction to it, really, from all sorts of people. People I think who were very interested in your story because of racing and being a jockey and all of that. But also a lot of people were very moved by your story, and in so many different ways. And I wonder now, you've had a little bit of a gap. Do you think, oh, I wish I hadn't done that now, or what?
No, not at all. If anything, it was quite a cathartic, thing to do, because not only have I spoken to you, Jeremy, on Shed Talks about about my past and how I've been on this journey and through my mental health struggles and stuff like that, but I'd done some other interviews, and it's only come about really over the last year that I've actually been more open about this.
Yeah.
And what's been lovely about this whole process, and I'm sure all your guests have spoke about this, when they've been open about something personal and a tragedy they've gone through or a struggle that they've had, there's someone that's listening or someone that's reading that's gone through something similar, and then they've said, oh, that's like something I've gone through, and reached out and said, thank you for sharing that, because I've gone through something similar, and now you've given me the confidence to to go and share it as well. And I think if anything, that's what's been most lovely about doing these types of talks, or be more as open about the struggles. And I think I'm sure all your guests have come on and said the same thing.
Pretty well, actually. And I think what's really important here is that the embarrassment factor that can come in with this, and the shame factor, are really very powerful things, and they can hold a lot of people back. And without trying to sort of drop names, when I helped to make the Stephen Fry documentary, Stephen Fry's Secret Life of a Manic Depressive, and I always say this in my talks to people, that although that did terribly well and it won an Emmy and all these very, very big deal things, the big deal was that Stephen Fry was fantastically honest, took all his clothes off, metaphorically, during the documentary, and bared all, and and I think as a result of that, so many people watched that, and when people with bipolar who were very, ashamed, manic depressive, very, very ashamed and embarrassed, and they saw that and they went, bloody hell, well, that's Stephen Fry, and I think it's not so that we want to make this totally like some film in Los Angeles, where everybody, talks about their inner sort of trauma, when they're at the checkout in I can't remember the Gelston, I think that was the supermarket I knew. But it is important that that this subject is normalized, and when you need to hear something, you can hear it. And I think that was great with your story. It was very inspiring, particularly with that horse, that I always do this. I always go many clouds and then I go any clouds. And, it's just a really rude thing of me, but there we go. That's me. But, I always thought I loved that story because it was sort of really circular what happened there. And, really, it was very important. I think very, very, very nice. Just that alone was brilliant. So I'm glad. I'm glad that you feel good about it, and we're hoping we're going to do a lot more talks this year. Well, we are. We've just started, um, and we hope you'll tune in. Um, and I think we wanted to try and get your take. 1-2 minute take that we. For some unknown reason, we'd never sent you the dashboard before of the dials, and just to know what you thought about that.
Well, I'd never seen it before, and like you said, I think you've shared it with quite quite a lot of people. And what I love about it is I'm a very visual person anyway. Doing the job that I do, and I struggled massively at school with with things that were being written on the board, or hugely dyslexic, and I really struggled with that. Whereas this dashboard that you've sent me just makes complete sense to me, really. And what I love about it really is just how simplistic it is, and how you can look at it and then kind of remind yourself of what you kind of got to take care of yourself, really. And I think that's what's interesting about these type of diagrams that you see. I'm a big lover of the motivational quotes. I have lots of them in my bathroom. I collect and then make a collage out of them. I drive my wife mad with them, but I collect a lot of this stuff, and I often pick one up each morning. But when I've gone in and brushed my teeth, and I see a motivational quote, and leave with one of them for the day. So it's I think things like that are visual and kind of just leave a little imprint on your brain, to kind of just take better care of yourself, are always important to individuals.
Well, basically I use this in all my talks, whether it's to companies or schools or parents or whatever, and it really, the idea is the old-fashioned MG dashboard, and what's check your dials every day. Where are you? And it could be that you've got a mate who you're a bit worried about, and you go, come on, let's have a look at it. Sleep, no. Write down. Exercise, non-existent. Fuel, well, fuel is actually just, have you been eating? Have you been drinking lots of water? All that. But if you look at all these things, that what I always say to them, if you can get all these dials in a reasonable position, not perfect, but you will cope with life, because that's what mental health is. Is the ability to cope, basically, and the ability to see things clearly, and the ability to make good judgments, good decisions. Um, that's what it is. And when we don't have these things, that's when you decide, well, I've only had 3 bottles of wine, I don't mind driving. Uh, or going to that stable and getting that horse out at 3 a.m.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think that's that's where we are. So I'm really glad you like it, and that's super duper. And
well, I just think there's some really important things on there that obviously that all of them have massive importance, but someone can take something away from looking at it. You'll probably take something away from it that's differently to me. And the one I really caught my eye when I looked at the dashboard was contact, and I think that's something that we when we're struggling, we avoid contact, like you mentioned earlier about embarrassment and things like that. And I think that's one thing that I think we need to do. We need to make sure that we're in contact with people, and we need to make sure that whether we're giving advice or help, or holding out a helping hand, or taking that helping hand, we need to have contact with people. And I think that's one thing that was very important that was on there. And the other one for me that I've always thought that if you're able to have a sense of humor and not take life too seriously, because you'll just get bogged down with it all the time. I mean, you and I constantly have a little laugh at at certain things, and then I think if you have a sense of humor, that or try and have a sense of humor of in the best way is another way of helping your mental health, I think.
No, that's great. Well said. Really, all well said. I mean, and I think the contact thing. I mean, I'm turning this into a plug for the talks, but it doesn't really matter. I think that when people are very depressed, or you're very, despair central, you just feel you want to have someone to talk to, but you don't feel like talking. And I think that's where, if you're someone looking out for somebody, you've got to make an effort to get hold of that person. And, if you're the person despairing, you've just got to try and say, all right, I will phone that person. Even if I'm not going to say anything, I'm going to ring them and say hello. At least I've connected, and it's a start. Because you're absolutely right. Otherwise, the whole thing is dark, and when it's all dark, nothing can grow. So all the old cliches come out. And on that note, we now conveniently moved to gardening, and
My favorite subject, Jeremy.
Excellent. I just knew that. And we have this sort of weird and funny book called Making Love to Mother Earth, which was written amongst many and many, many other books by my grandfather, who's called Harry Thomas, H. Thomas. And we've had a thing where, occasionally one of us reads half a chapter or whatever, and we're gradually building up a file of an audio book. And this book was written, my God, 140,000 years ago. It was written in the late 1930s, when my grandfather bought a 4-acre plot of land and built a house. And he wasn't that bothered about the house; he just built it. But he built an amazing garden. And that's what this book is all about: is building this garden. And it's kind of sweet. And I think the only other thing I'm going to add to this, before inviting your comments, is that my father built a house down the road from this one. Don't know why I didn't get it, and built a garden. And and he did have his own issues with depression, and he spent all of his time, other than going up to London to work, all of his time was in the garden. And it was, therapeutic. You're occupied. Oh, hang on, cut that, do this, dig that, do the wheelbarrow, and I mean, I don't want to say he wasn't a barrel of laughs, but that's what kept him on the straight and narrow, as it were. But I mean, what do you hate gardening, Nathan?
Well, I don't hate gardening, actually, Jeremy. It's just something I'm not very good at, because one of my terrible traits is I'm always finding myself, I'm always too busy to be, doing stuff that needs to take time. And I always think gardening always needs to take a bit more of your time than you can give. And I'm guilty of I should give more time to myself doing these things. And I often try and give my time to stuff that I enjoy, which is obviously what your grandfather did by doing this, writing this book about his passions, and I think what I do love about when you're sharing your passions is the fact that you can really indulge yourself and take yourself away from your problems. And I think that's what he was doing here with this book. But going back to the gardening thing, funny enough, I've got some friends coming from the UK, and on Monday, funny enough, they fly in. It's my first visitors from the UK to see the home of where I've built myself, here in San Francisco. And it's not as in regards that I've built a home. It's a home that I've made for ourselves, me and my wife Amanda and daughter Amelia. But what's going to be interesting is we've made a home here, and I've recently, just in the last week, I've just been in the garden, planting, because it's spring's here already, and putting some plants in, just because just trying to make the garden look tidier, that coming out of the winter. And what I found was, that thing of even though I don't enjoy it as much as I should do, the fact that you're actually planting something that and it's the old cliche, you're planting something so it can grow. There's something therapeutic about that.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's whether it's cutting the grass to make it look tidy, or getting rid of the leaves. I mean, we've got an oak tree in our back garden, and the amount of acorns that have fallen off that during this winter has been, I think I've filled about 4 or 5 big green bins of acorns, and even that's a chore in itself. But what's lovely about that is when, with it being messy to start with, and then getting rid of all those acorns and cutting the grass and putting the plants out there, it's made it a nice environment to enjoy. And I think that's what's lovely about about the gardening environment, and that has been enjoyable. And I'm really looking forward to our UK friends coming out here to visit us.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I think that's all very well said. I love gardens. I'm completely hopeless at gardening. And the only time I think I've been any good was when I lived in Greece on Patmos, and I had a garden that I used to go and look for injured geraniums, geraniums that had been run over or been abandoned or, terrorized. And I used to grab them, and I had a sanctuary, and I used to replant them. And geraniums basically, even if you take a steamroller over them, they will grow. So it wasn't that skillful on my part, but I had this really weird collection of sort of buggered up geraniums that were growing and all sorts. It was great though. So
I've taken the shortcut like that. We've got succulents here, which you can never really get wrong, can you? Really? I mean, they don't need any water, and they kind of grow themselves, really. So I've cheated really, Jeremy, by having all these succulents put in these beautiful troughs in my garden. So it's all a bit of a a vain thing to to show that I've actually been doing some gardening.
I think that's really good. Now we've got one more subject to talk about, which is the subject of toast of Tinseltown. Now, you might not even know about that. But anyway, I just wanted to say before I forget that I thought you gave a bit of, lasting advice at the end of your shed talk, where I sort of go, any last thoughts of, how to change the world or whatever. And you said something really good. And what it was you said that somebody had taught you this, that, you don't rush things, just let things happen, just don't rush. And I think the trouble is, we live in a world where, I want that now, and if it's not happening now, there's something wrong, and I thought there was really good advice, really good.
No, I'm glad you think so. It's it's something my mum's always taught me is just enjoy the journey, rather than trying to get there as 100 miles an hour, which I've always been like that. She said even when I was a little boy, she said I was always wanting to get to the next thing, and I think the world that we live in at the moment is teaching us to be like that more, which is a bit of a shame because we're not taking more time for ourselves, and we want the immediacy. And it's funny, the other night I needed a glue gun for something, and I was able to just drive down to the local store here and buy one immediately.
Yeah.
It was rather than just waiting for it to go and get it the next day, but no, I had to go at like 9:30 at night because I needed it then. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's even though I'm giving that advice and trying to live by it, it's still very, very hard in this world of immediacy, and where we can get things, immediately, next day delivery and food delivered to our doors, and rushing somewhere and getting a flight somewhere. It's we don't really take time for ourselves. And going back to the gardening thing that you mentioned earlier, I think if anything, if you have a hobby or a passion, and you can indulge yourself in that can help slow you down with all your either your professional life or your work, your work life, or whatever it may be. And I think it's important to do that.
I think that's that's a vital point. And simple things, basically, and that can be that somebody really likes reading. They really like reading crime fiction, or go and read it then, and just, or they really like, mowing the lawn and then digging this and doing that, and just, that you've got a little routine, um, or, whatever, you get your surfboard and it's completely stripping it and sanding it and doing it. But I think so many things that we forget, that it is simple things that often are the best therapeutic, for us, um, I remember being in Greece, I used to get a paper years ago, used to get a newspaper, an English newspaper sent over from England. I used to get a coffee, I'd have a fag, and I'd sit by this cafe and I'd read and smoke fags, read the paper, drink the coffee. And I tell you, it was the most amazing. I just lived for those moments. Ridiculous, but it was simple for me. Anyway, there we go.
Well, I think if anything, like what you're saying there is you're finding your space to switch off, and I think we all need to learn that. Anybody that's suffering with some sort of mental health issue, or that's struggling at the moment, and everyone's been struggling over the last couple of years to what we've all been going through. And in fact, we've all been forced to slow down over the last couple of years, and I think some people have either swayed both ways. They've either come out of it worse, or some of us have come out of it, better. I'm not sure. I've definitely come out of this whole thing better, being more open, having more time to do what I wanted to do, and spend time on the film The Fall. So it was I was able to slow down, and I think if anything out of this whole process is I've learned to just take my time, and as my mum always says, enjoy the journey.
Yeah, great. Okay, last topic now. Toast, and Taste of Tinseltown, and the person who connected us in the first place, the wonderful, wondrous, many other words beginning with W, Robert Bathurst. Now, first question: have you watched the new series, Taste of Tinseltown?
I haven't, because we're not able to get it here, unfortunately, in the in the US. So
Isn't that great?
I'm waiting for some sort of link or something from Robert when he gets it done and get it out here. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'm also looking forward to his one-man play as well, starting again, which he's looking to do now. We're able to get out and do stuff. So
which one-man play is that?
I can't remember the name of it, but where he plays a bookmaker who lives in a London. He basically lives in a London pub, and tells the stories about his gambling addiction and drug addiction, and I'll have to.
Okay.
You can dub me in at some point and say the name of what Robert's one-man play is, but I'm excited to see that as well.
Yeah, no, I saw him in a play about 3 years ago, and he's he is good. He's really good. I have seen Taste of Tinseltown, and I will tell you that he is very much, he's in every episode, I think. But basically, this is Toast moving to Los Angeles, and I can't remember Robert's character. Shares a flat with Stephen Toast. Anyway, he's on the phone to him a few times, going, "Oh, Toast," well, for me, I just really love Stephen Toast's agent, who's called Jane Plough, pronounced Clough, she says. And that's Dune, if you know who I mean. Dune, who was in Smack the Pony and
I do. Yes, I do know. Yes, I do remember that now. Yeah,
she's his agent, and I just think it is so. I don't know. I'm very addicted to that, but that's just me. Well, we'll have to get
nice
you.
To have some indulgence.
We'll have to get that to you, Taste of Tinseltown.
Yes, I'm keen to see it because Robert and I keep in contact quite a bit because of his not that he's got a gambling addiction, but he's definitely got a horse racing addiction. Asking me about the stories of what's going on in the racing world, and we've also currently been creating a 5-part documentary series, which we're hopefully going to be announcing on a major streaming platform in the next couple
Oh,
of months.
great.
So
That's good news.
yeah, so he's been quizzing me about that for the last 6 months. So we're excited to be finalizing that and
Oh,
getting that out there
good.
as well. So
Yeah, I'm very,
hopefully that's gonna hopefully that will do the same for horse racing as the way that Drive to Survive has done for Formula One.
yeah, great. Okay. Okay. Well, that'd be, well, let's keep an ear out for that. I mean, I am, just to mark your card, and we'll probably cut this, but I am looking for somebody to come on Shed Talks, who's had a, like serious gambling addiction, or, I mean, I do know the son of the founder of Gamblers Anonymous, who's called Peter Rosengard, who's completely barking, a sort of friend of mine, actually. But I just mark your card because you may go, oh, well, in fact, but if you do know anybody and you just ping me an email, it'd be really great. Anyway, back to this. Okay, well, it's been really great talking to you. As I said, so many people enjoyed your Shed Talk, your episode, and I think they liked you. I've tried to tell them you're a really horrible person, but they wouldn't have it, Nathan. They wouldn't have it. So you're a rocker of the highest order, and I hope we'll meet in person one day.
That would cheer me up no end, actually, Jeremy. I'd love to meet in person, but I do love our chats, and I really do love what this is about. Shed Talks, because like I say, when we're sharing our troubles and we're able to talk about these things, it certainly is a cathartic experience, and it's certainly helped me go forward.
Yeah, great. Well, I think that's really the whole point. And I don't ever think that we get too sanctimonious or pious. And look, everyone's gone through crap, and hopefully most of us come through it. Some people don't, but this is to help people who are still, connected to somebody who's going through it, and hopefully we'll help. But you are a rocker of the highest order. That's all I can say. Yeah, you know what?
Thank you so much.
Here's my deal. When I come to San Francisco, or wherever you are in Napa Valley, we'll go somewhere. I know we'll go to a location in the film Sideways. You remember the Sideways?
Love that movie. One of my favorites.
Top movie. We love it. We love it very much. I love it. We got to. That's so funny. That guy, he's terrible. Not our guy.
The actor.
Yeah,
the actor.
He's just going.
Yeah, he's.
I think I'll just go and bonk that person. You go, why you can't do that? And
yeah.
Paul,
It's a recommendation for anybody that hasn't seen it. It's a great film about a friendship, and the poor guy that's the struggling actor. He's got some issues, but even so, the chap that's the main character, the writer, and he's just trying to make his own way. I can't remember his name, but he's been in a load of films. He was in Saving Private Ryan, and he's been in many films. But his character, I just feel sorry for him, because he's just a squirrel trying to get a nut in the world, which we're all trying to do at some point in life, aren't we?
What I loved in that, apart from the actor who was like, I think I'll just, go after anything possible. And you're getting, and our guy is going, do you realize you're getting married in 2 days' time? Paul Chimano or something. We must.
It's Paul Giamatti. His name is, yes, and he's been in many films.
He's great.
Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah, he really is. He
He's great.
really is. He's one of my favorite
But
favorite actors, actually.
Nathan, the bit I loved, because of writing books myself. So all the time you're thinking, I wonder what my agent. My agent hasn't rung, but obviously that's actually a really good sign. And the actor's going, no, it's not. And he goes, no, it just is. You don't understand about the publishing and everything. And then finally, he rings up the agent, and you see his face, and he's going, "What? Not at all. What? What? Never ever."
Yeah,
Really,
nobody liked it.
really, and you just think,
Yeah,
"Oh
soul
no,
destroying.
this guy,
Yeah.
he's just gone through so much, and now, no, they just really don't like it. What? Even a tiny, tiny bit."
Yeah, I think it's funny, people that are creative in some way, whether you're painting a picture or writing a book or making a film, and when you put your heart and soul into something and then it doesn't become the success that you were hoping it was going to be. But
Yeah,
that's not right. The reason why you did it anyway. You were doing it for that creative space anyway, because you needed to get this thing out of you. And it's
yeah, yeah.
only the lucky ones really get to be successful in creating some art, because half of most of it is just you're just trying to create it for yourself, really.
Yeah. No. Tip top and totally tidy. Nathan Horrocks. I've actually just arranged for you to become Sir Nathan Horrocks. Thank you so much. And we will say farewell until the next one.
Thank you again, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
Great. Bye.